Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Snoopykins Degrassi's The Boiling Point Mega Recap! If there's one thing that you need to know about my personal Degrassi feelings, it's that my favorite Degrassi summer event of all time was 2010's The Boiling Point. Super hot take, I know. The Boiling Point premiered in the summer of 2010, and it was, no exaggeration, a phenomenon. And over the course of the next year or so, I'm going to recap and discuss the entire thing with you guys. All storylines included, starting today with the two-part season premiere, What a Girl Wants, just to get us started. Yes, I am saying that this might take me over a year. You see, The Boiling Point was an influential time in Degrassi history, to say the least. Not just because it was my favorite Degrassi thing to ever happen, but also because it set the precedent for Degrassi's insanely long, multi-part season events. The Boiling Point itself consists of 24 episodes, premiering at a rate of 4 episodes a week during the summer of 2010. But that was only the first half of season 10. The second half of season 10 premiered later that year in October and didn't conclude until the spring of 2011. The Boiling Point also set the precedent for those high production value music video promos that we started getting every summer. Season 10's music video, Shark in the Water, turning out to be absolutely iconic, and I promise I'll dissect that music video in more detail in the next video. Just not today. But based off of both the production value and the subject matter of the Shark in the Water music video, it was clear that the Degrassi team was preparing us for the season to top all seasons that came before it. And as such, many of the topics we'll encounter in this series are going to be sensitive in nature. Today's video is a great example, as we will be covering a storyline that focuses on the topic of DV, which I feel the show handles very well. But still, I just want to preface that topics like this are going to come up frequently over the course of this little recap series, so please keep that in mind. All that said, let's dive right in. Today's episodes start right before the beginning of a new school year, a few weeks after the events of Degrassi Takes Manhattan. I am not going over that movie again, but if you need a recap of that first, you can go check out this video on my channel, then come right back here and join us for the beginning of The Boiling Point. What a Girl Wants Part 1 kicks things off at the Coins apartment in New York City. Declan and Fiona's mom, aka Mama Coin, is throwing a party tonight, which also doubles as a fancy farewell shindig to Declan's girlfriend, Holly J. Sinclair, who, as you remember from the events of Degrassi Takes Manhattan, was in New York for an internship with this big media company. And now that that's over, she's about to head back to Toronto and start her last year at Degrassi Community School. Holly J. and Declan talk about how excited they are for their future together at Yale University, which they are definitely both going to get admitted to when they both graduate from Degrassi and Vanderbilt Preparatory School, respectively. Declan comments that the party's really filling up now, but Holly J points out that there's someone still missing. Yeah, these two are still a little bit anxious to see Fiona again after her temporary relocation to the Hamptons, where Fiona had to undergo intensive therapy to treat the severe mental health symptoms that surfaced in her over the summer, including her 110% hostility toward Holly J's existence, and the way that she kissed her twin brother in front of the entire world. So I can't say I blame these two for being a little nervous, but right on cue, Fiona finally arrives at the party, and to everyone's surprise, she arrives with a new boyfriend, Bobby Beckenridge, whose family is longtime friends with the Coin family. Fiona already seems transformed post-therapy, and Bobby and Declan are already familiar with each other. Could that be a good sign too? Or could it mean fuck all? We'll see in due time. When Fiona takes Bobby over to say hi to her mother, Holly J notices that Declan doesn't seem 100% happy about Fiona seeing Bobby. Declan explains that Bobby is Fiona's first boyfriend, so he's just feeling a little protective. But ultimately, Declan decides, yeah, you know what? None of my business. We cut back to Toronto at the newly refurbished Dot because Degrassi's not open yet. So where the fuck else would we be? Sav Bandari and Anya McPherson run into each other as Anya's exiting and Sav is entering the Dot. It's awkward because Sav broke up with Anya at the end of last year. Degrassi experts know that these two had a rocky relationship from the jump because Sav's parents fully intended to set him up with another girl all along, and Sav has always been too chicken shit to stand up for Anya to his parents. But then the two of them had unprotected sex in a limo at prom, but Sav thought it was protected, but then he found out that Anya lied that it was protected, but Anya only lied because she was worried about that other girl. It was a whole thing. You want to know what's even worse, though?
Awkward. Yeah, she still hates me.
Peter Stone works at the fucking Dot now, because of course he has to be in my favorite season 2. Peter, would you just get out of my life or whatever? Ugh. Peter asks Sav if the breakup is for good this time, and Sav's like, well, it was the best for both of us.
It's gonna be a lonely place back at Degrassi. There's gotta be some cool people you can hang out with this year.
Yeah, Sav. There has to be at least one cool person who... Oh, hold that thought. Drew Torres is debuting right next to us. Ugh. Anyway, there has to be at least some cool people around here. Yep, this is Drew Torres' first scene ever on Degrassi, and he spends it ordering a double-double espresso, and he also mocks Sav for bitching and complaining. But Drew just transferred to Degrassi, so when he finds out Sav also goes to Degrassi, he immediately switches his judgy tune, and he buys Sav a coffee, and with the air hereby cleared, they formally introduce themselves. Don't worry though, Drew gets way worse over time. Before we know it, it's the first day of school. Excitement's in the air as we see some of our favorite characters reemerge from summer vacation. We see Allie and Claire reunite. Then Principal Archie Snake Simpson comes out to greet everyone, including Dave and Connor. This year is actually Principal Simpson's first year ever as principal of Degrassi Community School, and he has himself a well-deserved little ego moment over it.
Hey, Principal Simpson.
Principal Simpson. That'll never get old.
In retrospect, this is more of a famous last words kind of moment, isn't it? Anyway, Simpson reminds the boys of the class elections coming up, and he tells them that a bunch of leadership positions are open for this year. When Simpson leaves, Dave excitedly tells Connor about his new approach to finally winning the affections of Ali Bandari this year. This approach includes apparently developing a website that automatically ranks all the girls at Degrassi by hotness. I don't know what data this ranking is based on, but the idea is that once Allie sees that she's been ranked #1 in the entire school, it'll make her like Dave because it's his website. Like she's gonna view this as a very special gift from him to her or something. But to increase his chances with Allie even more, Dave decides he's going to run for class president on top of that. I mean, class president and a misogynist tech bro? What woman could resist such a combination? To test this theory, Dave goes up to Allie like, hey Allie, you wanna help me with my campaign?
Why would I do that?
Get some quality time together.
Oh, I'll say I'd love to, but I'm busy.
With what?
I'll find something.
Start writing your victory speech.
Well, maybe Allie could resist that combination, but we all know Dave. He's gonna give it a shot anyway. Back over in New York, Holly J is getting ready to leave the Coin residence. She's missing the first day of school at Degrassi, but she's about to fly back there. And Fiona's with her. The two of them have one last mini heart-to-heart. Fiona tells Holly J that she actually wishes that Holly J didn't have to leave, which is another sign of some big character development in Fiona. After many therapy sessions, Fiona's grown to even admire Holly J's character, and at this point, she thinks that they could become good friends. Then Declan arrives to see off Holly J, and they have an emotional goodbye. We get this dramatic, slow elevator closing shot, and that's a wrap on Holly J in New York City. Back at Degrassi, Claire and Allie's media class is about to start, and right off the bat, something's kinda off. To start with, the chairs are all gone. And also, Allie's discovered Dave's Degrassi Hot Girls ranking website, and she is not flattered by it. Not at all. Who could have seen that coming? Apparently something went catastrophically wrong because somehow Allie was ranked so low, as in shit your pants, how could this have possibly happened low on the ranking list? Principal Simpson breaks the tension briefly by unveiling the new yoga balls he bought to replace those so-called chairs.
Balls.
And he also introduces the kids to Degrassi's new media instructor, Miss O, who I bet the kids are gonna love, and not too much. Then we cut right back over to New York to see the Coin twins off on their first day at Vanderbilt Preparatory School. When they get there, Fiona lets Declan know that she's going to skip orientation in favor of taking a private tour with Bobby Beckenridge instead. Declan looks a little concerned to hear this. He's like, look, I know that Bobby's your first boyfriend, but you are definitely not his first girlfriend. But before he can elaborate, Bobby arrives to give Fiona the old tour. And I know that we just met Bobby, but he makes it weird right off the bat. The second Declan's out of frame, he's like, okay, first we're gonna look at all the dark corridors, all the abandoned classrooms. He just wants to give Fiona a tour of all the places they can get caught making out in. Oh, and also he warns Fiona that all the lies and gossip at Vanderbilt, it's like out of control. So if Fiona hears anything like totally crazy about anybody, she should keep that in mind. If I didn't know better, I'd think that Bobby was maybe trying to get ahead of something, like he has some kind of unsavory reputation around here. Yeah, I'm probably overthinking it. Then Fiona makes an offhand comment about how ugly the Vanderbilt uniforms are. And Bobby's like, oh, I almost forgot to tell you, but I actually got you a meeting with the headmaster so you can talk about new uniform designs with him. It's tomorrow. So Fiona thinks it's awesome, but she's also like, well, we need to work on these designs tonight. But, oh no, would you look at that? Bobby can't because he has a thing with the boys tonight. When Fiona looks disappointed by this, Bobby's like, hey, I did something nice. You should be happy. Okay. We'll throw a parade in your honor, Bobby. Just calm the fuck down. Anyway, Holly J finally returns from New York. She starts unpacking and putting up all these cutesy-wootsy photos of her and Declan. But then she notices that there are like a bunch of cardboard boxes and rolls of tape in the corner of her bedroom. That's weird. Meanwhile, over at the Bendari residence, Sav and Allie's mom asks Sav what school was like for Degrassi's most popular senior, which Sav is, according to Allie. And mom's like, you know, since you're so popular and all, I was thinking that you should capitalize on that popularity and run for senior class president. And Sav's like, nah, Holly J. Sinclair's gonna be the president like always. But mom and Allie point out that Holly J. Sinclair is always the president because no one runs against her. So who knows what'll happen if someone actually runs against her for a change. Someone like Sav Bandari. Besides, it'll look good on college apps. Back over at Holly J's house, she gets on a Skype call with Declan for a bit before her mom comes home. And she's like, hey, mom, what's with all the boxes? Which is when mom informs Holly J that she went and sold the house while Holly J was in New York. And now they have to move to a new apartment. Turns out, the family's fund manager somehow lost all of their savings, including Holly J's college fund. Jesus. How are Holly J and Declan gonna live out their Yale power couple fantasy now? Meanwhile, at the Coins place, Fiona's working hard on that new school uniform design. The presentation's actually gonna be right there in their living room, so everything has to be on point. Declan comes by and he comments on how he's glad that he didn't judge Bobby too harshly. And it's a good thing that mom didn't ask Declan his opinion of Bobby before she set you guys up. Fiona's like, what? Mom didn't set us up. Which Declan immediately brushes off like, come on, Fee. Bobby's in a very connected family. As if Fiona couldn't possibly have attracted Bobby on her own. Right then, Mrs. Coin comes in. She says she's so proud of Fiona for making such a good impression on the Vanderbilt sphere already. And she's also glad that Fiona and Bobby are hitting it off so well. We cut to the next day at Degrassi. Sav comes up to Holly J and the two of them start talking casually about the presidential campaigns.
Dave Turner? Guess any loser thinks he can run for office.
Damn, Holly J. I thought we were past the mean girl phase. Apparently not, because when Sav says that he's thinking of running for president, Holly J completely blows him off. But then Drew Torres comes by to say hi to Sav. And when Sav introduces Drew to Holly J, he says, "This is my competition for president." And that's when Holly J finally gets it. She's like, "Look, Sav, you're not president material, but you can be my vice." Unfortunately for her, that offer doesn't interest Sav one bit. Back at the coins, Fiona's a little anxious because Bobby's running late to meet her to prepare for the big meeting. When Bobby finally arrives, he informs her that he was out late last night. And when Fiona asks Bobby stuff like where was he and who was he with, he instantly gets super defensive and rude with her until Fiona just gives up trying to talk this out with him. And she goes to walk around him and move on. But Bobby's not having that. He grabs her by the arm real hard. Then when Fiona says that he's hurting her, he immediately apologizes and kisses it better, which of course doesn't fucking do much. Fiona's still shocked. She has no idea what she should do in this situation. It just came out of nowhere. Meanwhile, in the Degrassi cafeteria, Holly J is speaking to the students and reminding them to vote in the upcoming election. But Sav happens to be in the audience, and he takes the opportunity to take the mic and declare his candidacy for senior class president in a kind of brutal fashion. He's like, "Holly J thinks she can just be president again without any competition, huh? Well, here's what I think. I think it's time for change. And I think change looks like Sav Bandari." I think he says something like that, and the kids get pretty into it. And he turns back to Holly J and goes, "Who says I'm not president material?" Ooh, okay. That was pretty smooth. Point goes to Sav. Once that's done, we check back in with Dave and Connor. Dave vents to Connor about how the ranking list was supposed to be rigged so that Allie would be the #1 hottest girl at Degrassi by a mile. But something obviously went wrong.
I told you there was a problem. The algorithms aren't waterproof.
Great. All summer I've been just a friend, and now I'm not even that. It's all gone.
Now you're angry.
That Asperger's training is really paying off, isn't it?
Okay, you gotta give Connor some credit, Dave. I mean, so far this season, he is way more socially intelligent than you are. Meanwhile, Anya finds Holly J and warmly welcomes her back home from New York City. And Holly J's like, "Not now, Anya!" But Holly J apologizes and explains that she's just stressed out because of the whole Sav element throwing off her presidential campaign. And Anya's like, "Oh, tell me about it. Breaking up with him was a blessing in disguise." Then Holly J explains to Anya that she has to win the presidential campaign this year, because there's no way that Yale's about to accept a runner-up. And she might be right about that. Holly J probably needs to be offered a full ride considering her newfound financial situation. So Anya asks Holly J how she can help her take Sav down because she doesn't like him anymore anyway. She illustrates the sentiment further by reminding Holly J about how she and Sav hooked up in that limo at prom.
Imagine if I had gotten pregnant, I would have spent senior year out here.
Oh, Holly J can imagine, all right. Back with Fiona and Bobby at the coins. It's almost time for the presentation. Bobby notices these snow globes on display in the living room, and Fiona explains that her dad used to bring her and Declan snow globes back from wherever he traveled for work. Then Bobby notices how excited and confident Fiona's feeling about this presentation, and he finds this confidence alarming. So obviously he has to take her down a peg. "Let's not get too excited, sweetheart. The headmaster said he'd only look at the designs." Fiona's not letting him get her down, though. She's like, "Yeah, and when he sees my designs, he'll be 100% convinced."
The whole school will be styling because of what?
You mean because of us?
So Bobby decides that he has to seal his stolen uniform design valor with a makeout session right then and there. But Fiona's fucking busy right now, isn't she? She's not in the mood. Rather than respect Fiona's boundaries, however, Bobby physically throws her onto the couch and starts forcing himself on her. And things escalate really fast. Every signal that Fiona gives Bobby to stop, he just bulldozes right through it, until Fiona has to slap him in self-defense. And because Bobby's an entitled, raging lunatic, he responds to this by slapping Fiona across the face. hard. So when Bobby realizes what he's done, he tries to comfort Fiona and sweet talk his way out of it. But Fiona kicks him out of the apartment. Good for her. Back at Degrassi, Holly J sneaks up on Sav at his locker.
Morning.
Trying to give me a heart attack?
Why, do you feel one coming on?
And then Holly J gives Sav this, again, kind of demeaning apology, saying she knows that Sav is only running for president because she said he doesn't have it in him. So she's sorry. So now he can just go ahead and drop out of the silly little race, right? But then Sav asks Holly J why she likes being president so much. And she says it's because she likes being in charge. And Sav's like, yeah, well, same here. Holly J insists that she needs to be president because her future's at stake. To which Sav shoots back with, you're not the only one with a future, Holly J. He's got her there. Time to break out the big guns, Holly J.
You're right. It's just that my future doesn't involve teen fatherhood.
Well, yeah, that would just be weird. Wait, what?
So, without running this by Anya first, Holly J weaponizes the limo sex episode. Yeah, she'll convince Sav that he's a teen father if it'll help her stay president. Dang, Holly J should, consider going into politics or something. Oh, wait. Back at the coins, Fiona's presentation is about to start. Mama Coin is greeting all the attendees as they arrive, when Bobby returns with an apology bouquet for Fiona. Aw, how nice. Mama Coin calls Fiona over to see what a lucky girl she is, and then we pan over to our lucky girl in front of a mirror in the other room, touching up the makeup covering her black eye that Bobby gave her this morning. What a Girl Wants Part 2 starts right where the last episode left off. Fiona composes herself enough to have a little pep talk with Bobby, but then Bobby notices the black eye that Fiona has because of him, and he starts to freak out. Did I do that? Oh, I'm so sorry. I feel so terrible. And our queen Fiona's like, yeah, you should. Then Bobby's all, you didn't tell anyone about it, did you? To which Fiona responds, well, why rock the boat over nothing? Bobby cheers right up at that, since he probably figures that Fiona's gonna keep covering up for his bad behavior, and so he's gonna keep getting away with it. So then Bobby introduces Fiona to the room, and she takes the floor with her presentation. And I gotta say, this girl knocks it out of the park. It's very rewarding to see Fiona in her element after the last time we saw her, as in over the summer, where she was really struggling and her emotions were completely out of control. And her mom is so proud of her too. It's so sweet. The headmaster gets triggered though. He's like, you want to change our school crest? Most inappropriate. Young lady, I suggest you exercise your creativity elsewhere. To which Bobby jumps in to be the hero. He's like, well, the original crest refers to burning witches, doesn't it? Isn't that a little outdated? Nice play, Bobby. Because if you hurt your girlfriend and then publicly take the brave feminist stance that burning women to death is bad, it totally cancels out. And then Bobby calls for a toast, so I guess they won the presentation. Okay, cool. Back over at Degrassi, Holly J hurries to catch up with Anya between classes, and she's like, hey, any chance you've spoken with Sav today? And Anya's like, no, why the fuck would I do that? And Holly J's like, this will sound crazy, but I need a favor. The next time Sav talks to you, can you, pretend to be pregnant with his baby?
What?
Only until elections are over.
Oh, that makes it much more reasonable.
But Holly J convinces Anya to play along because, after all, Sav broke Anya's heart, and revenge would feel so good, wouldn't it? And what do you know? That's all Anya needs to hear to get in on this completely batshit insane plan. Right after that, we find Dave wandering around the hallway. Note that he's now sporting some new Vote Dave merch. He goes up to Wesley at the lockers, and he's like, man, girls are so complicated. And Wesley's like, oh, yeah, Sure. I know exactly what you mean from experience. So yeah, Dave's still stressing about Allie, which makes Wes say, she's the one, isn't she? And Dave is like, whoa, which is a hilarious reaction because, like, if you don't think she's the one, then why are the stakes so fucking high for you, Dave? And if you weren't so emotionally constipated in the first place, maybe you wouldn't have tried to win a girl's affections by building a fucking app. Speaking of Allie, she shows up right then, and she is suspiciously chipper. Dave notices that Allie's putting up a bunch of flyers, and Allie explains that Dave inspired her to throw together a little list of her own. Oh boy. Now, Allie's list is called Degrassi Losers.
Degrassi losers. Well, there's me, and you're number 1. Oh, right, that's bad.
I just love that there are other guys on this list who have nothing to do with this. Like, if Allie's ego had to take a hit yesterday, she's taking an entire gender down with her today. No boy is safe anymore. We cut from there to Anya's art class. They're about to do a sculpting project when Sav walks up out of nowhere. He asks Anya if it's true that she's pregnant, and she's like, yes. So Sav tries to talk out the situation with Anya, but it's clearly not a good time.
I need to make a vase now.
They're gonna have to circle back on this one later for sure. Back over at the coins place, the guests are clearing out, and Fiona's touching up her black eye again, when Declan waltzes in with this line that I kinda hate.
The most drama-free event the coins have thrown in years.
Dude, we get it. Fiona's the crazy one. Let's make sure to remind her every chance we get that she was crazy. Also, I forgot to mention that Father Coin is in this storyline.
I promised things would be better once we were back among our people.
I'm so proud of you.
I think we only see him ever in this specific episode. I mean, he seems nice. He and Mom are super proud of what Fiona pulled off today. And right now, he's the only one in this entire family who's not constantly reminiscing on what a psycho bitch Fiona used to be. So another point for that. Anyway, Fiona reassures her family that she's feeling really good. She killed the presentation. She's doing great.
I told you, you don't need to worry.
No more embarrassing tabloid photos for either of us, right?
Declan, I swear to God. Look, I know he went through a lot too, but what does he get out of dangling that over Fiona's head for the rest of her life? And since that apparently wasn't enough, Mama Coin decides to toast to a normal life. Coins, we get it. But Fiona says she needs more orange juice first, so she goes to get that. Except on the way there, she spots Bobby making out with this blonde girl named Tinsley. Are you for real? We cut from there to the Bandaris. Sav sits down with his mom and Allie at the dining room table after school, and his mom seems really happy about something. Sav tries to break the fake news about him and Anya to his mom, but she interrupts him to break some real news of her own, which is that Sav and Allie's cousin is going to print out some posters for Sav's campaign. Yay, right? But then Sav asserts that he's not going to run for president after all because he has too much on his plate this year. He does not go into detail about what that involves, but unfortunately he's gone and disappointed his mom either way. Back at the coins, Fiona stayed home from school after the presentation, so after school Bobby comes over again to see her. He tries to be all suave and cutesy-wootsy with her, but she is not here for it. Fiona tells Bobby that she saw him with Tinsley. He tries to play it off like, oh, well, I broke up with Tinsley last year, but she's so crazy, like she won't let it go. She tried to jump me, Fiona, I swear it. Fiona's like, no, liar. I know what I saw. So since he literally can't handle his problems in any other way, Bobby grabs her violently by the arm again. And I'm pretty sure that's why when Bobby says, Fiona, you know I'd never cheat on you. I love you. Fiona just freezes up because she remembers what happened the last time Bobby grabbed her arm like that this morning. Even though Bobby is so obviously lying about Tinsley, he's already leading up to physically hurting Fiona all over again. If Fiona continues to press this issue, she knows exactly what Bobby's going to do to her. So she doesn't. We cut to a few hours later. Fiona's trying to settle down with a cup of tea when her mom comes in and tells her that Bobby's mom invited them to dinner tonight. And Fiona's mom is caught off guard by Fiona's severe reaction to this. Mrs. Coin's like, is is everything okay with you and Bobby? And Fiona's like, it's fine. It's just a little intense. And unfortunately, Fiona's mom interprets this as, well, Fiona's mental illness makes all her feelings intense. So her first romantic relationship is making her coping skills regress or something. And the girl just can't handle it. So Mrs. Coin's like, just remember what your therapist told you. Don't go looking for problems that aren't there. One of the things I appreciate about these episodes is the way they factor in the timing of the abusive relationship. You know, how it started so soon after Fiona's very public mental breakdown, because it absolutely affects how everybody on the outside looking in perceives Fiona and Bobby. Like, they've already decided that if there's a problem in the relationship, it's because of Fiona, and she just needs to get her shit together and stop letting us all down. And Mrs. Coin is usually an incredible mom, so I'm not going to get too mad at her, but damn, it is so frustrating to watch her contribute to this. Anyway, Fiona goes to leave the room, but Mrs. Coin remembers that Bobby left a gift behind for Fiona, so she gives it to her. It turns out to be a snow globe with a little aspen scene inside, in reference to this ski trip that the two families went on a long time ago. The two of them reminisce on this one part where Bobby and Declan had this snow fort and they wouldn't let Fiona inside, so she threw a tantrum about it. And Fiona's like, I was a handful, wasn't I? And Mom's like, it's okay, because that's all behind us now, right, Fiona? Right, Fiona? She doesn't go crazy like that. I'm getting so tired. Back at Degrassi, Anya walks into art class to discover that Sav has transferred into her art class after dropping his music class that he cares about so much, so he can support her as much as possible while she's pregnant. So Sav's officially taking the step the fuck up route, which of course is admirable. I think probably only half of teen fathers in Degrassi history have ever chosen that route, so it's kind of funny in this case because the baby doesn't even exist. Of course, Anya's really touched that Sav wants to take care of her, and that he finally wants to stand up for their relationship in front of his parents. Unfortunately, that just doesn't fit very well into Holly J's evil plan to undo Sav once and for all. So Anya texts Holly J that she can't do this anymore. We cut over to the caf, and we see how Dave's campaign is going so far. Connor and Wesley, good friends that they are, have taken it upon themselves to perform a freestyle rap about Dave, but it doesn't seem like they're really winning anyone over.
You turn it for rep, he's gonna rain. He's permanent, yeah? Like a nasty stain.
It's actually so bad that Dave straight up chases them off the stage, which makes him look very cool. Then on top of all that, the bullies start calling Dave a loser, because by now they've all seen Allie's flyers. After school, Allie and Claire go to the dot, and Allie complains to Claire more about her ranking, because she still can't stop thinking about it. Claire is very much done hearing about it, though.
Okay, your time limit for being upset about this stupid list has officially expired.
But Allie's convinced herself that Dave's ranking website could have such a colossal impact that it could render her single for weeks. Or worse, months.
Maybe even years.
Even though I'd argue that Allie has done way more to spread around her loser list than Dave ever did with his website. And her list has definitely had a much bigger material impact on Dave than his list ever had on her. Speak of the devil. Dave stops by and he asks Allie if they could talk, and they do. Dave explains that his website was supposed to be rigged, and it was all a setup to flatter Allie. And as weird and desperate the truth behind the website turns out to be, Allie decides that she can forgive Dave after all. I mean, she's at least gonna vote for him now. Oh, and Allie kisses him, but in like an, "Aw, you're such a sweet little platonic friend" kind of way. She makes it clear that's as far as it goes. Back at the coins, Fiona's sitting on the couch holding Bobby's snow globe gift when Declan strolls in to confront her about not wanting to go to dinner at the Breckenridges. Fiona says she's not feeling well, but Declan's not buying it. In fact, he gets real fucking rude with her, accusing her of starting drama when she promised no drama. She promised Declan a fresh start, which I guess means that Fiona's just supposed to do whatever everybody else wants her to do from now on. She's just given up her right to boundaries or something for the good of the family. Fiona tries to keep calm. She even offers a sushi night in with Declan as an alternative, but he's like, nah, embarrassing mom and dad isn't my style, Fiona. And he storms off in a huff. And when he's gone, Fiona smashes that snow globe that Bobby gave her against the fireplace because she just needs to smash something. There's the drama you ordered, Declan. Feast on that. Meanwhile, Sav and Anya are going for a little walk. Sav swears to Anya that he really wants to make it work this time, and Anya might actually believe him. But when Anya realizes that Sav's about to drop out of the presidential race so that he can take care of her and their non-existent baby, she starts to regret lying to him. We cut over to Holly J's place, where she gets a Skype call from Declan.
Hey, sexy. Is it hot stuff dance time?
Ew.
Oh.
Whoops, that's not Declan. That is definitely Fiona, who has found her way into the wine cabinet. Holly J notices that something's kind of off, so she asks Fiona what's wrong. And Fiona's like, I just don't get why I can't be happy like you and Declan. And Holly J asks, well, what about Bobby? I thought you two were really clicking. And Fiona's like, yeah, everybody thinks that he's the best thing that ever happened to me, but I don't know about that. And I really appreciate Holly J's reaction here. She's like, Fiona, if you don't feel that the relationship is right, then end it. You don't have to be with Bobby just because everyone else thinks you should. Holly J is being so much more supportive than everyone else around Fiona is being right now. Like, she's the only one who's trusting Fiona's intuition and not trying to argue with it. Right then, Anya knocks on Holly J's door. So Holly J signs off and she tells Fiona she can call her whenever. And by the way, go easy on that wine. It's not good for you, girl. After Holly J hangs up, Anya's like, great news, Holly J. I'm gonna keep being fake pregnant. And not only that, Sav and I are getting back together. Holly J is like, oh. Anya says her new plan is to keep up with the fake pregnancy charade until she and Sav fall back in love. And then she's gonna fake a miscarriage.
Wow. Anya, that's a smidge dark.
Yeah, a smidge. Anya's like, well, either I fake a miscarriage or I fake a baby, and nobody's gonna want to adopt a fake baby. What? Anya, do you even hear the crazy coming out of your own mouth?
Whatever it takes, right?
No. Ladies, no. You do not use the series catchphrase on this. I refuse. Whatever it takes, I will do. To stop y'all from saying whatever it takes right now. The next day at school, Holly J is going around trying to recruit for her cabinet, but she discovers that Sav has cranked his campaign game up to 11 overnight. Like, these are not the posters and t-shirts of somebody who's dropping out of the race. Holly J is shocked. She is like, Sav, don't you have another big responsibility to worry about? And Sav's like, well, when you have a strong support system, you can do anything. And Anya slides in right there. Yeah, so Anya fucking crossed Holly J to reignite her relationship with Sav on the foundation of a colossal, soon-to-be traumatic lie, though I would argue that Holly J definitely should have seen this conflict of interest coming from a mile away. Back over at Vanderbilt, Fiona's walking up to the school entrance when Bobby catches up to her, raving about how good last night's dinner was, but Fiona tells him to leave her alone. Bobby's like, is this about Tinsley again? Babe, I told you it was a one-time thing. And Fiona's like, actually, you told me that nothing happened. Whoops. Bobby swears up and down that Tinsley means nothing to him. He belongs to Fiona. But then he receives a text message, and when Fiona tries to see who it's from, he aggressively won't let her. So Fiona snatches the phone from him to check that notification. And well, would you look at that? It's Tinsley saying she can't wait to see Bobby tonight. So Fiona snaps. She tosses Bobby's phone away. She has a pretty loud outburst that attracts attention from the other students, much to Bobby's pathetic distress.
You're embarrassing yourself!
Fiona tries to get inside and just get away from Bobby, but he's not letting that happen. He like backs her up against this wall out of view of all the other students, and he's like, "You want people to think you're crazy again?" To which Fiona shoots back, "I'm not crazy. You're a liar. Now you leave me alone or I'm gonna tell everybody what you're really like." But Bobby's like, "Nobody's gonna believe you." Fiona manages to slip away from Bobby and she tries to make an escape up the staircase. But Bobby grabs her hard by the arm again and he throws her back down the stairs in a blind rage. And Fiona's just lying in a heap at the bottom of the stairs, sobbing. But this time, instead of comforting her, Bobby says,
Don't mess with me, Fiona.
I want to break up.
No, you don't.
And that, my friends, was our 2-part premiere to Degrassi's The Boiling Point. Quite a distressing note to end on, but don't worry, season 10 will get more distressing. And as much as a tonal clash that might be when it comes to my content, considering how much I just like to crack jokes and say stupid stuff about this show all the time, I'm still excited to review these heavier episodes because I remember thinking at the time that a lot of it was handled really well in this season. And now when I rewatch it, I'll get to see how well it holds up today. So far, so good. I really appreciate this Fiona Coin storyline, more than I did before even. And I'm looking forward to covering more of this with you guys this summer. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet and you're into things like Degrassi or WWE, I strongly suggest hitting that subscribe button right now, especially if you want more Boiling Point coverage because that's coming this summer. That is after my very next video. That'll be a WWE thing. Stay tuned. But that's enough from me for today. Remember not to accept snow globes from entitled shitty rich dudes, and I'll see you next time.